questions you all have? Yes, ma'am. Yes. Good answer. Good question. Good question. The question she asked, just in case you all didn't hear it, she saw a bumper sticker that read "We the People," and on the bottom of it said, "Are all immigrants." And she was really frustrated with the bumper sticker. And her concern was, what is the problem with legal? Why do people have such a problem with the word illegal? When we talk about an illegal immigrant or an illegal alien. And the answer to that is this. The problem is, people know that they're here illegally, but that word illegal has illegal connotations attached to it. It's very negative. But listen, it is what it is. What we as conservatives have to say is this: if you do the wrong thing and you break the law, it's illegal. If I walk into Mr. Ford's home, because Mr. Ford is here, back, a good friend of mine, wealthy guy too. I walk into his house, and his little mini mansion, and I rob his house. And I put a flag in the middle of his living room and say, I just discovered a home. He's going to come outside this shop and say, no, you didn't discover anything. The sword, the shotgun, I've always known this home is here. You are illegally here. I can't just take something out of his home and then just call it borrowing, because I want to conveniently change and redefine the word. And people have found that word illegal because it's offensive. But listen, it is what it is. If you're here and you're not legal, then it's illegal. But again, we have to have that conversation in a way that we stand our principles, go back down, but you don't have to do it with a mean spirit about it. Just tell them it's illegal. And I honestly believe that the short answer to your question is people don't like negative connotations attached to who they are. And my response to that, then let's do it the right way. There's no question, ladies and gentlemen, that we have a problem in this country with our immigration system. There's no question. There's also no question that we're all immigrants from someplace. There's no question. If you go back far enough, Native Americans were the first ones here. Nobody's going to debate that. But where we go going forward, because it is a matter of national security, whether people want to believe it or not. Anytime 12 people can come over here with a devised plan and board 4, with an intention to die and take thousands of Americans with them, it is a matter of national security. And I'll tell you something else. You can't go into another country without having proper credentials. I'll tell you that right now. Only America, you can float over here and somebody with a bleeding emotional heart say, leave them alone! No, we're going to leave them alone, but take them through this line to make sure you get all the proper credentials so that everything can be done the right way. Does that make sense? Who's got another question? Anybody? The harder the better. Yes?
I just want to say, I've heard that the illegal weapons are not illegal. My documents.
Karen came up with that all by herself. Anybody have a question? Anything? Y'all make this way too easy. Yes, sir.
I've been a Maryland resident for 4 years. I don't have the same opportunity as you do. You have. I'm working for the violence. I'm ready to leave. What commitment
the best way to keep you here? Here's my pitch. Give me 18 more months. I guarantee you, what are the main things you're probably, let me ask you, what are the 2 or 3 main things you're most frustrated about when it comes to the state of Maryland?
The state of Maryland, gun laws, and property taxes, and the school systems. I live in PG County, and PG County sucks for schools. We live with all these excellent schools, except in PG County, the big dole of how the money comes in. When they laissez-faire school economics going out there to every country themselves. Pretty sure it's kind of screwed. It's on the biggest part of the state level. It's state need. So we're screwed. No one's really addressed this issue yet.
That's right. And we're going to. Not just Prince George's County, but also Baltimore City. And believe it or not, some schools in Montgomery County are starting to struggle because of the ESOL laws and issues they're struggling with. But those 3 issues are the main 3 issues we're tackling. I couldn't have said it any better myself. When it comes to taxation, when it comes to gun laws, that hits right at the heart right at the heart of our freedoms and our Constitution. You start messing with the Second Amendment.
Now Beretta, who is here in Maryland, is saying that it should be Prince County is threatening to leave.
Yep, they are. I talked to the folks over Beretta. You're exactly right. Now, and again, my answer is, if you give me 18 months, I guarantee we can change the climate. The current climate, even with the gun laws, you know where that came from? That came from a sitting governor that's looking to run for president and wants to be as far left as Barack Obama as possible so he can win his party's nomination in 2016.
And if I could please, my job now is I want to campaign and choose who doesn't get nominated.
I stand for your point of view. He should need some luck. He's a Democrat.
I don't think that he's the gift that literally keeps on giving. Because I mean, by the time we get done talking about Baltimore City alone, he is, in my opinion, the gentleman struggles when it comes to being an executive. But that's a separate conversation I'd love to have with him alone in the room. Because I like to talk about people to the face, not behind the back. But the points that you bring out is spot on. We have to change the climate. People didn't just wake up in Maryland and say, you know what, let's attack the Second Amendment. They didn't do that. They started attacking the Second Amendment because it became an issue by the governor. He's doing that bait and switch thing all over again. As he throws up these gun issues, he's sliding more tax increases through the door and taking the emphasis off the tax increases because he knows that Marylanders, regardless of party affiliation, they're tired of taking more and more of their money out of their paychecks. We are the 49th hardest tax citizenry in the country. The only state that's taxed harder than us is New York. It's terrible. Yes, sir.
You had a hard campaign for Trump.
Yes, sir.
I was for that and lost.
Yes, sir.
Lost to somebody else.
Yes, sir.
What did you learn and how did you change it?
Wow. He's not even playing. That's such a great question. The question is, he was very complimentary of the hard-fought fight we had in Congress that we played a role in, we worked together in. But his question is, did you learn anything from that loss and how are you going to change it and win? Here's what I learned, the most important thing from that loss. What I learned, and that's why this draft is in place, that's why folks like Karen and Sherry are working so hard now, so we have the revenue so that by 1 September, when we announce, if not before, because I come up mobilize orders sometime in the late summer, early fall, we intend to announce and head straight from Prince George's County right here, my beloved Prince George's County in Baltimore City, and spend 90% of our time there. Where we went wrong is because I had to win a primary. I was running against an elected official. I was running against a really good guy too. In fact, he's part of the team, the draft politics for governor. But I had to come out the primary and win. Now, the way the primary was set up, the primary was in August, September, and then the general election was in November. So that gave me, I don't know, 35, 40 days to campaign in Prince George's County and Charles County, which made up the largest percentage of votes. When you go calculate the votes by territory county, you'll see that we won 3 out of 5 counties. We beat him in his own county. We beat the majority leader in the House in his own county. The irony is, if people who look like me had voted for me, I would be the congressman right now. That's the irony. People who did not look like me voted me in. Because to the further note, it's not about color, it's about principle. It's about conservative values that people tend to cling to. So what I have to do is spend my time in this county and have conversation after conversation after conversation. Because again, whenever you leave with that word Republican, it's a tough hurdle to get over. It's not necessarily that Prince George or those in Baltimore City or even Montgomery County. It's not that they don't like me. They got a problem with the word that comes before the name. So that's what we have to work to overcome. And I get more and more frustrated when absent-minded folks that are in my party say stupid things and make it that much harder. You know how upset I was with Rush Limbaugh? I was so upset with him, you are not allowed to watch him in my house or listen to the radio or him on the radio in my car. I have completely boycotted that guy. Stupidest thing. And when Fox, so many people have really, and my wife will tell you, I look at the TV and I say something like, you're making it hard for me. Why am I still here? I was at, and a true story, I was at a rally, and I was called, true story, I was called a month before the rally and asked to come and speak at the rally and announce. the route in Annapolis, the person that was moderating the speech, the speakers, because elected officials were speaking to, came over to me and said, "You're not going to speak today." 4,000 people there, probably more. She's not going to speak today. And I said, "Why?" He said, "Because some of your legislators have told us if they let you speak, they're not going to help us pass our bills." And these are Republicans. My wife and I, we laugh at all the time. We have nobody who likes us. Regardless of what it is, we're just not like. It's frustrating. But I can tell you this, we can win. This team can win. The people in this room can win. But we've got to spend our time in this county taking care of that brand and either changing it or finding a way to get people through it. And that's what we're working through now. Because it takes conversations. The only way for us to do that is good people like you up and say, "You know what? We want this guy to win. We're going to support this guy, help this guy win so he can spend his time in Prince County at Baltimore City." Because we can change minds.
No, we need to do it because I said at the earlier headquarters, their answer to this county was, "We just want to stop the bleeding." They didn't have.
I know. I know.
I think it's a little worse than that.
And I hear the same thing about that, about Baltimore City. I hear the same thing about Montgomery County. And what I'm getting from folks in Baltimore City, what I'm getting from folks in Montgomery County, what I'm getting from folks right here in this county, it's not the same thing. Folks believe in the same philosophy, but how we articulate it becomes a problem. The biggest thing I learned from that campaign is I have to spend more time in this beloved Prince George County. Now think about it. We get 35 to 40% of this county, we win the election. There's no question. Then we can pass the taxpayers' bill right. We can change the Maryland Constitution because as it stands right now, this particular item in the Maryland Constitution, it says this, that if the legislators decide, and I'm sorry if you're here and you're elected official, I'm going to say it anyway, if the legislators decide to pass a bill that increases your taxes, there's nothing you can do about it. That's the Maryland Constitution. So they can pass a bill that takes more money in your pocket in the form of a tax, and there's nothing you can do about it. That's what Governor O'Malley was about to do because he didn't think he had the votes for that the redefining marriage bill to define it so that 2 men or 2 women get married. To change that bill, he was going to put a tax in it so that those that were not traditional marriage would have to actually buy a certificate and pay $15. Because if he added that language to it, then it could not go before referendum because that $15 would be returned tax. We didn't have a constitutional amendment to the Maryland Constitution that says this. Any bill that increases your taxes, you should have a chance to vote. An up or down vote. And if you vote for them to take more money from your pocket, then you deserve to be here. But the way the system's set up, it's set up to take more money out of your pocket, not less. That's how a state like Texas can continue to grow with more and more business. Do you know the only state in the union that did not feel a recession was Texas? Guess what their sales tax is? It's 0. Guess what their state personal tax is? It's 0. But yet they're the only state that didn't feel a recession. Because business is flocking to Texas like crazy. Because it's a better environment to do business. We're going to take that arrogant sign that has the governor's name on it, and if elected, I'm going to do this, and replace that sign with Maryland, we're open for business. And let's get serious about business. Anybody else have a question? Well, I tell you what, you all have been good to me. Y'all have been good to me. The questions weren't that hard, but I'm going to ask you for a favor. I'm going to ask you to really, really, really dig deep down into not just what's on the card, not just what's on the draft, not just what's on the red print, but really pray about this thing and get behind us. We need your help. We need your help. We believe we can change the state. We can do it for the better. We believe we can reach out to anyone at any time, and we should, and we can make you proud of us. For us, game day's already started. But we put our cleats on and our pads on, and we take the field come the end of August, 1st of September. But I'm going to take the field with you. Giving you my pledge with every ounce of integrity in me, that I will not embarrass you. I'll continue to say the same thing. I'm not going to deviate. If you look at any of the YouTube videos or any of the statements I've ever made in the past, for the past 5, 6, 7 years, you'll see the same consistency. I still don't speak with anything in front of me unless it's some kind of lick day dinner, and all I have in is are bullet points. You know why? Because I keep saying the same thing over and over and over and over. I believe that Maryland could be a great place, not just for business, but for us to live. I believe Maryland, because of its natural resources in the Marcellus Shale up in western Maryland, the urban centers of our state, the beautiful beaches out on the eastern shore, and the southern charm of southern Maryland, can be one of the greatest destinations, not just in this region, but across the country. But it starts with the ability, not just to dream it, but also believe it and achieve it. And what you do, and what you can do for me and with me, we can achieve that. So I ask you for your help, and I thank you for you all's time. This is your first meeting for the North Republican Club? Oh, outstanding. I'm glad that I had a chance to come and meet, because I know I've met with the Southern Prince George's County Club. I've met with the Central Committee, but this is my first time, I think, being here with Bill. Have I been here before, Bill? Berwyn Heights, okay, outstanding. So I look forward to coming back. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. But I am grateful. On behalf of myself and my wife and my daughter, thank you all so much for having us.